Is just one lap away from that now. An absolutely extraordinary French Grand Prix. We've had 4 different leaders. Kimi Raikkonen looked as though he was going to be the man that would get his first Grand Prix victory, but instead Michael Schumacher, who led and then was given a drive-through penalty for cutting the line. You can hear him short shifting now. And this, the last 2.6 miles separating a man from his moment of destiny.
Yeah, he's certainly taking a very unconventional line into that hairpin, so you have to assume there's some oil down there from Magnicia's spin. That's probably what caught Raikkonen out. Either that or he was just distracted by the fact that somebody had spun off in front of him. I think he's past those kind of mistakes now, Raikkonen, despite his tender age. But I don't think Michael's had a particularly stellar afternoon personally, but it's just come back to him somehow, hasn't it? He's just sat there and waited for it to come to him all afternoon, and come to him it certainly has.
Well, stand up wherever you are, because this is a very, very magical moment. You will remember where you were the day you saw a racing driver become a 5 times world champion. I grew up hearing about Fangio and I thought no one will ever do that, but Michael Schumacher's done it today, and he wins his 61st Grand Prix, and he's a 5 times world Formula One champion. This is history. Absolutely magnificent. Look how happy he is. He says he doesn't care about statistics, but he cares about this one. Spoiled by that spin, I suppose, but we don't yet know whether oil was involved in it. Schumacher keeping his head under all the problems to win his 5th world title. Who's your driver today?
It's easy for me, really. Raikkonen, despite that little slip, I'd have to say Kimi Raikkonen really put in a supreme performance this afternoon. Michael Schumacher's got a big car advantage, I believe, and it was a little bit lucky. It sort of it fell into his lap to a certain extent, but obviously the harder you work, the luckier you become. But, Michael Schumacher then wins his 62nd Grand Prix. 61 or 62? 61.
You lose count, don't you?
Yeah, and obviously along with his 5th world championship. And does that make him the youngest ever, the quickest ever champion winner in a season?
It does indeed. 140 days into this championship. When a championship goes to term, it's 210, so it's earlier than Jackie Stewart and earlier than Nigel Mansell and earlier than everybody. This man is making records everywhere he goes. And the next one in his sights, I suppose, will be to get more than 9 Grand Prix victories in one season. This is 8th out of the 11 races so far. And this is one podium that Frenchman Jean Todt is certainly not going to miss. He's very generous in sharing out the visits to the podium amongst his engineers and people. That's his brother, Ralph, just congratulating Michael Schumacher then on his amazing achievement. Did you ever think you'd see Fangio's record equalled?
Didn't really give it any thought, to be honest, James, but certainly what's the scary thing about Michael Schumacher is he's missed 2 or 3 other championships by the skin of his teeth, hasn't he, at the last round? We could be looking so easily, with a little twist of fate, we could so easily be looking at a 7 times world champion here. That's the worrying thing about it all. He lost out to Hill, didn't he, at the last race? He lost out to Villeneuve at the last race, broke his leg in '99 when I think he could have won it as well. And the Hakkinen thing was touch and go as well, wasn't it? I mean, the guy's just been at the sharp end since 1994, hasn't he? He's just been right there and a contender at all times.
And the interesting thing about Michael Schumacher, the difference between him as Kimi Raikkonen just thinks about what might have been between him and Fangio, is that Fangio always skipped from the best car to the best car in Formula One, whereas Schumacher drove for Benetton for a few years and then decided to take on the monumental project of trying to make Ferrari a world championship winning team again. And you sense the emotion. You can just sense it, the hand movement touching his head. I think we'll have a tearful Michael Schumacher when this helmet comes off. I think he realises perhaps what he's done. Certainly since he became a father, he's become a much more emotional man. He used to be called robotic, didn't he, by Damon Hill a few years ago. Ted Kravitz is down with an amazing man who's played a big part in the history of Michael Schumacher, and that's Ross Brawn.
Ross Brawn, Michael's 5th World Championship. James just said you played a major part in that. You must be a delighted man right now.
I'm not sure. I didn't almost spoil it because I was telling Michael about the car alongside me. I think it was Montoya, and probably distracted him on the pit lane exit, and he caught the white line. But certainly really exciting. Unbelievable day.
It's amazing that he can still win the race. I mean, Raikkonen made a mistake, and he didn't expect really to win this race, I don't think.
No, he was pushing hard. We were just talking about how we should push the car, what could we do, and he was just pushing a little bit, and It was enough.
Just finally, a word about this amazing man, Michael Schumacher.
He's the ultimate Formula 1 driver. I mean, people try to make comparisons with it now. In the modern era, there's no one there.
Yes, significant, Ross, making a point there. It's so difficult to compare different eras of drivers. Your Fangio's and Moss, Stewart, Clark, Senna. In many ways, how would you directly compare them and say, yeah, one is the best of all time? But certainly in today's world of wheelsmiths, Michael Schumacher is clearly a step ahead of anybody else, isn't he?
And there, a very, very emotional moment. These two are linked by far more than contracts. Yes, absolutely. They are very close indeed. It was Jean Todt who came to the Ferrari team in 1993, this very Grand Prix, the French Grand Prix, his first for Ferrari. It took him a while to get the best driver in the world to come and join the team, which at the time was a bit of a donkey, frankly, hardly a prancing horse. But together they have built it up, and together they have got the Ross Brauns and the Rory Burns and the technical brains to come to Ferrari as well. Stability has been a very big part of the secret. Reliability has been an enormous part of the secret, because another record that Michael Schumacher's made today is that of 16 consecutive points finishes, which is a record of all time. And, well, this guy, what can you say about the amazing achievements? They just go on, and the scary thing is he hasn't finished yet.